Welcome. This video is all about authority, what it means in terms of research, and how it can help us decide which sources we should use. But first, what does authority mean? Well, we know what it means in its traditional definition, a person or group having power in terms of their position or law. However, what does it mean in terms of research? Well, let's look at what makes up an authoritative author or creator to find out. An authoritative author will have done their research. They will have cited trusted and relevant sources within their own research or project to help us understand what they know and which works are trusted in the field. They probably have published works in a reputable place on this topic. This can be an academic peer-reviewed article from a journal or even a popular article in a reputable magazine or newspaper. Even if it's from a popular source and not an academic source, a good author will still cite sources and refer to other works. They might also be known in their world of academics. Other researchers might be familiar with their work, or they have their credentials listed within the article or the work itself. Or it's very easy to locate their credentials somewhere else. They will also have a relevant background that gives them contextual information on the topic they're writing about. This doesn't necessarily always mean they have a degree in the appropriate field, as it can also be having been in certain places at certain times, having lived certain life experiences, or having experienced something firsthand that allows them to be an authoritative source on the topic. So basically, what authority means is the author is knowledgeable on the topic they're writing about. An authoritative author is a knowledgeable author. How do we look for authority? Well, there are a few ways we can dig in a little deeper to try and find information about the work or the author. We can Google the author. Sometimes a simple Google search will reveal a lot about a person. We might easily see their credentials on the topic, or we might find other articles talking about how this person is spreading false information. It's always a good idea to do a search of the author, even if you feel they are trustworthy. We can also try and find other works by the same author. Do they always write on similar topics or themes? Do they always claim to have the proper credentials in all of their articles? Is what they're claiming consistent from site to site? Another option is looking for an About Us section on the website. If we're looking at a blog, try and find the author's story. Usually there, they will try and provide some context as to why they are authorities on a topic. Sometimes we're looking into an organization or a company, and not always an individual person. Make sure they are clear about their mission, vision, and reason they're publishing these works. But what if we can't find any evidence that they know what they're talking about, or are on the up and up? Well, that's a huge red flag. If you can't find any information about the author, or the company or organization, these can be signs that they might not be the best resources. Sometimes you find a person who has published works on a variety of topics, but might really only have the authority to write on one particular thing. Sometimes their background checks out, but their research still seems flawed, or maybe they're making a lot of claims that don't back up in their research. This is also a red flag. It can be tricky to tell when someone is credible or not, and there isn't a hard and fast rule for everything. That is why it is a great idea to practice this as often as possible. The more research we do, the better we get at finding and identifying reliable sources. Practice makes perfect. So why is authority important? Well, if the author is credible, that means that we have a better chance at finding reliable sources. We also have a better chance at using the proper resource for our research and assignments. For example, if we're working on an academic paper and we find a blog that we like about nutrition for children, but find out the author is a stay-at-home mom just trying to document her children's nutritional habits, maybe that isn't the best source for our academic paper. It could be a good source for your own reading, but for our assignment, maybe a study done by a nutritionist and published in an academic article would be better suited for this particular purpose. Thinking about authority can also sharpen our investigative skills. Sometimes we have to dig a little deeper to get to the bottom of a resource. Maybe the author's identity was hidden behind a fake company, or maybe the company listed doesn't quite do what they say they do. Just by doing a little bit of digging, we can often save ourselves from being fooled by false information. Authority can be tricky, and in the age of the internet, it is very easy to start a blog or open up a website and pretend to really be anybody. This is why it's so important to know where we're getting information. If you start at the library's homepage and use the library's resources, we have done a lot of this work for you. The tips in this presentation are mostly for researching outside of the library, where nobody is vetting these resources for you beforehand. If you are ever unsure about a resource or have any questions about authority, never hesitate to reach out to the library or your professor. We are all here to help.